Meanwhile, investigators in Dallas combing the crime scene for answers about the deadly shooting. Police blocking downtown streets as they piece together the events leading up to the attack. Authorities also trying to figure out how Micah Johnson got a hold of his weapons and whether anyone else may have been involved. Let's bring in now Steve Rogers, a retired lieutenant detective for the Nutley, New Jersey Police Department and a former member of the FBI Terror Task Force. And Steve, I'm so happy to have you here with us today to talk about this. Of course, now the feds, I understand, they're conducting a multi-layered investigation. Can you tell us what those layers are and which agencies are involved?
Well, the National Joint Terrorism Task Force is certainly involved in this and may be taking the lead at this point. And the reason is that because of the amount of weapons, and there were bombs that this individual had in possession of, there's a lot of forensic investigation that has to be completed, meaning they're going to look at the electronic footprints of his computers, of his cell phone. Right now, there's no indication that there's an overseas connection, but that's still not ruled out. It looks like a domestic terrorism attack, but that's why these layers are going to be actually all part of this investigation.
And I think one of the questions that people have is where did this guy get all of these weapons?
Well, it seems to me, in my view, and I've been involved in law enforcement for a long time, that there had to be others involved. Look, he didn't have just one or two rifles. This guy was ready to go to war. And I mentioned last week that I don't believe, and I believe it was confirmed last night, that this wasn't the original target, that there was going to be a greater and bigger target somewhere down the road, but the march became a crime or a terrorist attack of opportunity. And he knew that there are going to be a lot of police officers there and a lot of targets.
I was actually watching the Dallas Police Chief David Brown on with Jake Tapper this morning, and I want to play some of that sound and talk to you about it.
Where we detonated a device to end the standoff, there was more lettering written in his own blood.
What did he write?
And we are trying to decipher that, but he wrote the letters RB.
RB.
And we don't, RB, yes. So we're trying to figure out through looking at things in his home what those initials mean.
You hear Chief Brown saying that the killer wrote in his blood on the wall in that parking structure the letters RB. What could something like this tell investigators?
Well, it could be one of two things, as insignificant as a goodbye to someone he loves, or it could be a signal to someone else. Mission accomplished, things along those lines. I got to tell you, this chief is an American hero.
I love
he
him.
is an American
I love
hero.
Him. I have so much
and a great leader, and he's been very transparent. So the chief mentioned last week that no stone is going to be left unturned. And now we go back to those layers you talked about. During the investigation of those layers, they might find what RB means.
And how, you told me how this killer was planning something else, and he saw the protest as an opportune time, unfortunately, to have a lot of police officers exposed in one place. How was this guy able to seemingly unnoticed move through the crowd?
Absolutely remarkable. I mean, I've looked at that and I'm saying to myself, the only way he could have done that if he had people around him walking with him to cover him. I find it hard to believe he's walking through these crowds with a lot of weapons, which tells me those weapons could have been planted in the places that he was going to conduct this attack. But the key here is if you say something, see something. And my worry is a lot of people saw a lot and said nothing.
And, to that point, is there, I think many people in communities are hesitant to say something for fear, who knows what may be in their background, or for fear of retaliation from the suspect in this case, the killer in this case, had he not died.
To that point, they can remain anonymous, and I shared yesterday on your show that after one of the Fox interviews I had, I received an email with information and evidence backing up that information because of what Fox is doing and getting this story out. That stuff was turned over to the FBI, and the person did ask me to keep them anonymous, and I'm going to do that.
Very good. Any final thoughts before we go?
It's Sunday. We need to really get together and pray for our country, pray for the police officers, pray for the minority community. Look, we're all Americans. This isn't Democrat or Republican. This is all about Americans. Let's come together, at least in prayer, on this Sunday.
Pray for those officers. Pray for all the families who are suffering from having lost loved ones suddenly this week. And you're right. God bless America. Thank you so much, Steve Rogers. I appreciate you this morning.
You're welcome.
Okay.